Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another review. This time, not Agatha all along. We are reviewing the first three episodes of Like a Dragon Yakuza on Amazon Prime. Anybody who knows this channel knows I'm a big fan of the game series, especially the later games, the Xbox One, PS4, into PS5, Xbox Series X games. So I was really excited when the show got announced, and I was also really excited when it wasn't being made by an American studio, just because American studios do not have a good track record with making video game properties into live action items. But Amazon is looking 2 for 2 right now. I think that's all they've done. I think they've only done this and Fallout as far as live action video games go, and the Fallout series was a lot of fun. But yeah, Like a Dragon. It takes place in between 1995 and 2005, and we're going to get to those time jumps in a second. But we follow, series protagonist Kazumu Kira, which always a badass in the games. My only the actor who plays him, I think does a pretty good job. My only problem with him is he's too skinny, and that's just a minor gripe. I'm not body shaming anyone. It's just Kiryu in the game is a lot bigger and more menacing looking. Like this guy does not look menacing at all. Like, it's kind of shown in the games with Kiryu that when he shows up, people shit their pants. Like, literally, they're like, "Oh, the dragon's here," kind of thing like that. And they haven't built that reputation for the character in these first three episodes yet, though he does kick some ass. So without that reputation, if he was more menacing looking, I think it would work better for the character. But I'm talking game and I'm talking adaptation. And sometimes, and I've said this before on the podcast, in adaptation, you've got to, you take liberties because you can't do the same thing in a movie or a TV show that you can do in a video game, that you can do in an anime, you can do in a comic book, kind of thing like that. So I'm going to tread lightly there. I'm not going to totally diss it. It's just wish he was a little bit bigger, that's all. Also, Akira, Yumi, and Miho, childhood friends and orphans. They're like brothers and sisters together in this show. So we kind of follow them. The inciting incident that kind of sets the whole thing in motion is, and this is going to really be the only major plot detail I cover. This is going to be non-spoiler because this is going to be kind of a quicker review than my last couple Agatha reviews. But the inciting incidents is the four of them plan a heist of an arcade. Kiru knows it's a Yakuza run arcade. I don't know if the other three know, kind of thing like that. But that's the inciting incident. They set up a heist in Kamakura, which is the red light district of Shinjuku. Which, man, every time I see that in the games and on this show, I get flashbacks to going to Shinjuku and walking through. I said Kamakura. That's the old capital. Kamurocho, Kamurocho in Japan. I just like going there. It's all the signs, everything, all the sights you see there. It's really cool. It's a different side of Tokyo than the Skytree and Shibuya and Harajuku, things like that. But yeah, so they plan a heist and it's successful to a point. But then they get found out and they all they owe 25 million, or they can join the Yakuza. And they choose to join the Yakuza. So that's the inciting incidents. And then that happens in 1995. And then we kind of jump forward to 2005. Kiryu was serving a 10-year prison sentence, which in the first three episodes, we have not found out what that prison sentence was. Kind of have hints at it, but we don't know for sure. But yeah, overall, I'd say I like the show so far. My only problem is the time jumps. They are too frequent. So if you look away from the screen for a second, like to take a drink or just, you get distracted by something and they do a time jump, it's sometimes hard to tell, mostly because they use the same actors for the 10-year span. And for a second there, I have to adjust and figure out, generally speaking, in 2005, they're all dressed nicer because they're wealthier. They've risen up the ranks in the dojo clan. So you can kind of tell that way, but other times it's just kind of because sometimes in 2005 they're dressed in normal clothes and you're just like, where are we? So the jumps are a little too frequent. And I know it's a narrative device they're trying to use where they are dealing with something in the future, or in the present, I should say, and then it jumps back to the past to why they're dealing with it, or vice versa. It will show something in the past and then cut to the future. I don't mind this storytelling technique when done right, but like I said, they kind of use it too frequently. Like I would rather stick in a time period for a longer period of time and tell more of that story than to, hey, it's 1995 for 2 minutes and then we jump, it's 2005 for 5 minutes and then we jump back, kind of thing like that. It does some, like I said, it does make it a little hard to follow, especially if you happen to like turn your head, look down, or look away from the screen when they do that time jump, because it will take you a second to catch up, especially if we're not dealing with our main characters. If we're dealing with some of the side characters, it gets even harder to tell, because for the most part, all the side characters are established Yakuza, so they're dressed nicely and things like that. And there's not too much there's not a big difference with the fashion between 95 and 2005 in the show to really key you off like you can with the main characters, where they're dressed nicer, they look more well kempt in 2005 than they do in 1995. So that's really my only complaint with the story. I think it's an engaging story. We have a nice little plot that hasn't really unfolded yet, like where they're the plot really hasn't unfolded too much yet. We've got a couple murders that we're following, but there's also the plot in 1995 about the building of this giant tower in Kamurocho, and the tower gets built because we see it in 2005. So there's kind of a plot of how they steal the land and build the tower. The modern plot is Miho is disappeared, and our main characters are looking for her, and there's murder and mayhem, kind of thing like that. So it's kind of more jumbled, and we're halfway through because it's a six episode miniseries, and all 3 episodes have ended on a cliffhanger, which has been kind of fun. But yeah, so overall, I'm gonna grade this a C plus or a B, somewhere like right in the middle. If the time jumps weren't as frequent and they just stuck with the time period longer, because I don't mind the duality of the story. A lot of things do this. Like I think the best example of that is True Detective, the first season on HBO. I think they handled the 2 time period jump the best, especially because they did it in a way where it was kind of being narrated by Matt McConaughey and Woody Allen's characters in the present, and we would see long stretches of the past, and then in the second half of the show we saw them in the present trying to close the case out, where I think this show would serve it better if it followed that kind of thing. If it was, we kind of like the first part of the first half of the show, we had some stuff in the present, but we cut back to long stretches in 1995 to tell that story, and then we kind of move forward in 2005 instead of the constant jumps. I think the constant jumps are going to turn a lot of people off, because like I said, it does get confusing a little bit. Even if you are paying like full attention, sometimes you're like, wait, did I miss it? Because it's always I'm trying to point to my screen, but you can't see where I point at my screen. It's always in the down left corner where it goes from 2005 to 1995. So even if you are paying attention, because it's in that corner, if your attention is up towards the top right of the screen, you might miss the transition as well. So overall, like I said, C plus B. I think the frequent time jumps are going to turn a lot of viewers off, because I have seen mixed reviews. I've seen a lot of 7s out of 10s, but then I've seen a lot of 3 out of 10s. It seems to be right in that area. Either people are giving it a 3 out of 10 or a 7 out of 10. So, and I've looked at a couple, and the time jump has been a lot of complaints by people. So if you pay attention and you enjoy this kind of drama, like gangster drama, especially if you're more familiar with the American, like Italian gangster movies as opposed to Japanese Yakuza movies, I think this is a really cool watch. I think it's another it's a different look into what organized crime is, or at least a fictional version of organized crime. And it is kind of cool seeing the difference, especially if you haven't played the video games and you have ever been interested in this. I think it is kind of a cool look into that world. And it's not quite like the games, which is fine. It's good for an adaptation. It's setting itself apart while still following that world. And I enjoyed it. And I said a couple of times last night during the watch along that it made me want to start the series over, which I kind of wanted to do anyways after completing Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. With it seemingly is the conclusion of Kiru's story, so I kind of want to go back to the beginning and start Kiru's story all over again and play through and play some of the side games that I haven't played yet either. So it did accomplish that. So I'm waiting for, because of the premiere, I'm waiting for Prime Gaming to start offering all the Yakuza games free on either GOG or Epic Games or something like that. I'm hoping they do that, even though I do have access, I think, to all the mainline series games on Game Pass. I think I have access to that. But the one game I didn't even know existed until recently was the Like a Dragon zombie spin-off game, which I actually really want to play. It gets okay reviews, but I do want to play because I want to play in that Yakuza world as Kiru killing zombies. I think that would be a ton of fun. But yeah, so that's my review. I think if you're a fan of the game series or a fan of mobster, gangster genre of television and movies, I think this is definitely worth checking out. If you don't care about the games and you're not big on organized crime fiction, it's probably a pass. The drama's cool, but unless you're really invested, the time jumps are going to throw you off. So, like I said, if you're into the games, into organized crime fiction, definitely worth a watch, I think. But if you're not into any of those, you can probably skip this one. So yeah, that's my review. Let me, if you've watched the first 3 episodes, let me know what you think in the comments below. Do you like the time jumps? Do you think they would have been better served if they followed True Detective in longer periods of time, staying in a time period, than jumping back and forth, kind of thing like that? Just let me know all that in the comments below. If you like this video, please give me a like. If you didn't like this video, give me a dislike too. The engagement helps either way. But I do appreciate you watching, and as always, have a great rest of your day. Take care now. Bye.